Do you believe in accountable love? Welcome to Accountable Love, home of the LoveSnobs, where love is a group journey. My name is Aziz.
I'm Jerry.
And today we have two guests. We have, AM, which is Chris on my right.
And you wait for me, Kyrsten on my left.
Yes. Today we'll be talking about internet dating because that's how they met.
Yeah.
We are all searching for stability. We are all looking for absolutes in humanity, but there are no absolutes. There's only accountable love, a love that says when you pick a partner and friend, they will show up with their daily best and you will give them your all as well. We all deserve love at its highest form, so the LoveSnobs are here to tell you, you deserve everything. You deserve a high clap. LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs. Go ahead. So, we decided to bring y'all on because, y'all met on the internet and Jerry's, she loves the internet. Jerry promotes internet dating and I'm like,
I think
unsure
it's so
about it.
Convenient.
Yeah, I'm unsure about it. So we naturally have discussions off camera. And, we wanted to, whatever. We wanted to have them on so they can discuss and explain to us, what's the benefits, what's the pros, the cons, what's the, we can just have a discussion about it, but we just want to know how they met on the internet and what's the process. So, one of y'all can take the mic and give us some explanations.
Well, I think I had a little bit more experience with it, But
the internet,
I would definitely say so.
The internet dating?
Yeah, because, for me, it was, it filled time. First of all, like just being able to, I was bored a lot of the times I was on it. So I just was on there. And the one thing I realized about it is you can quote unquote, meet a bunch of women, and not have to spend much time outside the house. Like you can just be in your home. If you have free time and you don't want to actually go out and mingle or anything like that, you can actually just do it right from your couch. So I was able to do that. And I was actually able to vet out, like, if I was having a conversation with somebody and I wasn't feeling the conversation, I'm dead in it. So I didn't have to spend much time on a date. Spending any money.
You have to spend no money.
I said that's what I had to spend no money. That's what I said.
As you talking about, I heard that in. I heard it at the end.
So it does benefit in some ways. I think that you have similar what's the word?
Option.
Word is not like similar like being worried about certain things. Like if you meet somebody that's a stranger, in person, you gotta worry about the same things. Like you don't know who that person is. It's the same thing online. I think there's obviously other threats, like somebody catfishing you or something like that. It could be somebody else or it could be scammer or whatever else. That's the risk you take. But end of the day, you in control pretty much. You just talk to whoever you want to talk to, date whoever you don't want to talk to.
Definitely. Why did you decide to get on the internet?
For me, it was more or less, I was bored.
Oh, same.
So it was kind of similar to him. It was just filling time, but I wasn't ever on it for a long period of time. Like I would make it and then get off of it. Like it was just like I wasn't constantly like internet dating. So It was just more or less for us. It was just like the right place at the right time.
Okay. So, how did that all start? How did it transpire? Like who reached out to who?
So wait,
how does the process go?
Well, yeah, what app was it? Do you mind?
It was the Tinder app.
Okay. Tinder gets a bad rap, so it was a Tinder app. So basically, you swipe right or you swipe left on the people that you are interested in.
Super easy, definitely.
So if two people swipe right on the same, like if they actually swipe right on each other, right?
Right.
So then you get a notification saying you have a match.
Right.
Wait, somebody swipes right first, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but you don't know that. Well, yes. Well,
you don't know before you swipe, though.
You don't know before you swipe.
No, you don't know before you swipe if somebody likes you.
Well, you do. So
or somebody
so you don't know who swiped first.
No, you don't.
No.
Okay.
No. So you get a notification saying that you have a match. Okay. Once you got that notification, who reached out first?
I did.
Yeah. What did you say?
Hi, how are you?
How are you? And what was your response?
I said, I'm doing well. How are you?
And then the conversation the rest was history after that. I think the answer to your question about what made me reach out, it was actually what she wrote on her bio. I
so
found
you read those things?
Well, hers was brief. So, and occasionally, depending on how bored I am, I may read a longer one. It just depends on what's being said. But at the end of the day, like when you're on there, one thing, because I was on it more, I talked to more women, and conversation, it seemed to be like people were lacking conversation. Or like, I don't even want to say skills. Maybe they just weren't interested. I don't know what was going on their end, because it wasn't like I saw them in person. So they could have been busy or whatever else. But a lot of times with talking online or talking, you end up being baited into a conversation where you're keeping it going. Like you're asking questions. How are you? What do you like to do? And it turns into 20 questions opposed to being a conversation. So when she asked me in return, how, she said she's well. How am I? I told her. And then I followed up with something else. She said the same thing. She returned it back, and it became a conversation.
Okay.
And then we came, but her bio, what I was saying before, it made me want to reach out, because she was basically saying that she wouldn't mind. She doesn't mind reaching out first. She was telling me that she doesn't mind communicating. So that's what interested me about her. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. So I just reached out. I didn't have to, say anything elaborate. I had to write a poem. Nothing like that. Like some women act like that. Like, oh, I won't say, if you just say hi to me, I'm not going to respond back and stuff like that. Like I'm not trying to talk to nobody that's like that. So I just want somebody down to earth that's willing to communicate, and she was able to do that. So
did AM have a bio?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh, so it's
to be completely honest, I used to. I read some bios, some of them.
She was physical.
she was what?
She was physical. She's physically attracted to you.
Yeah. I would say 9 times out of 10, I would definitely pick somebody based off of their physical traits.
Okay.
Not their bio.
Okay.
So do you have a bio?
How did it work out with you?
I wasn't much of anything on it. If I did, it just may have had maybe a couple of interests or something like that, but it wasn't nothing elaborate.
Yeah. How did it, so when he reached out, y'all had a discussion, what was your experience like?
Honestly, we talked for hours that night, and it was really like, I don't want to necessarily say comforting, but it was just natural. Like the conversation was like, it wasn't forced, like he said, like,
it was organic.
Yeah,
that's organic. Yeah.
Shout out to David.
And we just
mahogany.
And we just talked about like life. Like it wasn't like I was asking him questions, and I was like, if I'm asking too much, like please let me know. But he was like, no, like I appreciate you asking me these questions, and vice versa. Like it was just normally like based on my past experiences, based on the brief time that I was on online dating, like people would be like, oh, like don't ask me those questions, or like they didn't want to get into that, or it was just things like that. But with him and I, it wasn't like that.
Right.
Yeah. When we sit here and we have discussions, so obviously with the Accountable Love Podcast, and I'm really big, like me personally, I'm really big on like the face to face. You know what I mean? Like the internet dating I may do is a person I used to know, maybe on Facebook or Instagram. If they inbox you, you know them. So you don't really you can talk to them on the internet and you know exactly who they are, and you know how they look. You probably interacted with them before, so it's things of that nature. But a stranger, I think, I like to look at body language. I like.
Oh yeah, Aziz wants to meet that person on the train. In the movie where you see somebody down the cart and he's on the other car.
Let's not get crazy.
They lock eyes.
Let's not get crazy, but what I'm saying is I want to actually have a discussion in person. You know what I mean? And I'm big on that, but I'm not saying that I'm against the internet. I haven't tried it. I'm not interested in really trying it, but at the end of the day, I'm not against it. I do think it's a way to meet potential partners.
I really liked internet dating. Actually, I thought it was really.
But you also a lazy dater.
I'm not a lazy dater.
You are a lazy
I'm not
dater.
A lazy
you want
dater.
things on your convenience.
I wouldn't say I would. Lazy
you want
means
things
that you
on
don't want to exert the energy. I'll put in the energy to date you. I don't have an issue with that. So
no, but but making the time to. I
would make the time. So I would make the time of dating. I have met people in face-to-face settings. I mean, at one point in my life, I was hooked up with somebody's friend, brother. Like I was always hooked up with somebody that I knew through somebody else, right? But what I did like about online dating was that the convenience, to your point, of interacting with people. I stopped going out as much, so I'm not in the same social settings anymore. So I was able to reap the benefits of socializing with other people by swiping left or swiping right. What I did like about online dating was that you kind of get to you can get to the meat and potatoes of where you're gonna go in that relationship really fast. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to ask a lot of the questions that actually matter. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to weed out the nonsense.
But the thing about internet dating, to your point, the thing about internet dating is you can actually sit and wait. Like there's people that actually sat in a room with me and asked me a bunch of questions and typed exactly what I said to them. And they wouldn't even know, the person wouldn't even know they wasn't talking, like that person wasn't giving
answers. Being catfished, but I'm saying...
No, I'm not even talking about being catfished. I'm talking about the fact that you can stop, think about your answers before you answer. Meaning, when you're sitting across the table from somebody, everything is real time. Everything is a real moment. Everything is captured in that moment. So you have to be a lot more vulnerable on those dates. And when you deal with somebody on a vulnerable level, I think it really shows character. So where they're like nervous and they're like sweating and they're like showing that they're a little uncomfortable or they're very comfortable or all those things, I'm able to see exactly what's going on. So you're really able to interact with the person.
But just because you meet them online doesn't mean that it takes away from that. So you start the initial conversation online.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't take away from that. You will, like, obviously the two people on our panel. So like, we sitting here talking on our panel on the show. We sitting here having a discussion with them, and they actually met, and they actually are making it work. So I know it can work.
No, I'm not saying, but you're saying the vulnerability of it. I remember meeting a guy online. We had the conversation started on the app. Definitely. Then we exchanged numbers because the app, like sometimes you don't get the notification. Like you're really excited to continue to talk to this person. So hey, you know what? Let's exchange numbers. If you are crazy, then just lose my number. And if it doesn't work out, then I think we're mature enough to say we don't call each other, right? Mm-hmm. So we exchange numbers. Then it goes from texting to talking. So then you're up all night talking to this person. Right. But the day that you meet that person, you still have that vulnerability. If you still really
see how voice changed? That's called woman manipulation.
It isn't, but wouldn't you agree?
In the way. I'm the one that likes to want people in the train.
But I felt it. Like I remember, like really feeling this guy online. We talked on the phone for hours before we met, and when we met, I was still nervous, and I still sweating, and I still like it was still a level of vulnerability there. Yeah. We just had we may have broke the ice a little sooner in a different way, but we still had that.
You had the comfort of knowing them, like knowing things about them already.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I think it works both ways because they're like, for instance, I asked both the women on the show now. So, how often was your inbox going off?
Oh, I was popping.
How often?
Often,
like nonstop. Yeah, pretty much. If the longer you were on there, the more messages you would get.
Right. Absolutely.
That's what I hear about a lot of women, especially attractive women. So what happens is, and I always explain this, it's different for men. Like men will get messages, but not at the clip women will. And it typically, and the reason why is because to your point, there's the face-to-face interaction is eliminated, so the anxiety is eliminated.
Definitely.
So for a guy to walk up to an attractive woman that may be out of his league, he may not have the heart to do that. Like he might not be able to do that.
But he's gonna inbox her.
But he can inbox her. Definitely. No issue. So it does take some of that away, that anxiety away. So the natural part of it is not really there, but you still are. That person still is being vulnerable enough to actually send you an inbox. If that, if you want to call it vulnerability. At the same time, once you start talking to that person, yes, it isn't in real time, but it's just more so like somebody can still give you all the right answers when you're in person.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So no, I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not saying, like, literally when I speak, I do speak in absolutes, but I make it clear all the time that I do understand that there's a gray in everything, right? But everything is based on percentages. Everything. So if now I'm speaking to somebody based on percentages, the likelihood of somebody being in real time able to answer your questions in real time, unless you're self-indulged, you know what I mean, in real time, and able to just answer on the fly and not show any type of I'm uncomfortable, any type of I'm lying, any type of putting their head down, any type, like things you can read through body language is not as likely as somebody being on the actual computer.
But hold on. But it's not the computer. It's you transfer to the phone. So
right. And then the texting,
so the initial connection is typing, right?
Definitely.
But then then once you exchange numbers, the next thing is a phone call or FaceTime.
Right. Yeah.
Like I've met a guy online and I asked him a question that made him feel very uncomfortable. But how did I know that? Because he paused in speech because we were on the phone. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And that's how I was able to gauge it. So I would recommend that. Yeah, you shouldn't just be texting the whole time. So
you definitely do eventually get phone numbers.
Well, I think the second night that we were talking, I was like, "Do you mind if we FaceTime?" Okay. So that's another thing for us. Like, I wanted to like talk to him face to face. Obviously, we didn't
wanted to make sure
yet.
he wasn't catfished, right?
Well, no, it wasn't even that. But I wanted to like talk to him and like see him and actually like have a conversation.
Get a feel for him, yeah.
So because we didn't meet.
What did you do? So is FaceTime considered internet dating at that point?
Well, yeah, because they met on the internet, wouldn't it be?
No, but we can meet on the phone. Back in the days when there was no internet, we talked on the phone.
Right.
And then when you FaceTime, it's like being on the phone, but you're actually seeing the person.
Yeah.
So that's equivalent. That's equivalent to us being in person. So we all agree that being in person is more important than the texting.
But we never said...
Because the online dating is the texting portion of it. So you do get to meet more people online, like you said.
But you can vet them out.
That's what I said. You vet them out, and then you
filter through more people. So when you say convenience, I first want to understand y'all definition of convenience.
It's the fact that you like. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you don't if you're not going out a lot and you're not able to meet a bunch of people, like if you're not going to clubs, going to bars, if you're not. Obviously, you're just going to work and coming home. If you're not going out, it's out of convenience for that. Like you're not, or you don't want to meet people in those situations because 9 times out of 10, it's also probably not going to work out. Because my mom told me a while ago, like if you meet a guy in the bar, leave him in the bar because he's not. Yeah. It's not going to work out.
That goes back to the percentage thing I'm saying. It may work out, but the percentages, it's not.
The likelihood, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I just think that in terms of like. Online dating, like you can talk to as many people as you want, but not all those conversations are going to go where you want them to go.
Definitely.
And you can ask them, the uncomfortable questions. And if you can tell if they don't like the question because they probably won't answer you if they don't want to answer, because again they didn't meet you, they don't feel obligated to answer to you, and things like that. So you can definitely weed them out, and then from that point on, you can talk to them face to face. You can ask them the same question in person. If it makes them uncomfortable, you can tell.
Just have them elaborate or whatever. But I mean, the other big thing is location.
No, but before we move on, I want to understand each person's understanding of convenience.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, location is part of convenience. So like for me, I wasn't really out like that. Like I never was a person that went out much. I didn't really socialize much in like bar settings too much. I didn't really do none of that. So I went to work, come home. For me, I was able to talk to women in other areas. So if it wasn't for internet dating, we probably would have never met. She lives 25 minutes from me. So it's like, but I would have never, when we were, I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't have possibly happened.
We may have met 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother story.
We'll explain that then.
Yeah, but the thing is, but the likelihood, like you said, the percentages, we probably wouldn't have met. So, being able to talk to women in different areas, women I wouldn't have talked to. So again, you just get more opportunity to talk to somebody, and more opportunity, more of a chance to meet somebody that you actually are compatible with, opposed to just being confined to your area. You go out to a local bar, go to a restaurant, go wherever. These are just people typically in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And you probably seen them.
Especially if you're in a small town like Lancaster, Reading. Yeah. I mean, you never really know. So
that's what convenience would be on your end. What would it be on your end?
Yeah, the same for me. I think that it's a lot of times when you have someone who has a full schedule and you still want to socialize when you have downtime, it was convenient for me to vet people before I actually invested the time to spend with them. Mm-hmm. So the Friday or the Tuesday, whenever I'm free, I could be spending that time meeting them for the first time. We can swipe right on each other. I'm like, okay, on Friday we can meet up, or we can have a conversation and realize we don't need to meet up because we're not on the same page.
Right.
So that's what I thought, that it was the convenience for that, to kind of weed out the nonsense and to really put things out there, give the other person on the other side choice, let them know what I'm about, see what they're about, and then take it from there before we invest any more time.
All right. So, when I hear convenience, I hear easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm questioning, do you believe that when a relationship is easily accessible, as likely to be a long-term thing or a short-term thing? Is it more likely to be long-term when you're not putting and you're not invested, and it is convenient or quote-unquote easy to have multiple people coming your way and you're just swiping them versus back in the days meeting people that you actually have to invest in, build something, walk up to the person, and even doing that you had to be vulnerable, getting their number. Because like to what he was saying, you don't have to be as vulnerable because you could just swipe. I have to walk up to you and get your number. It shows character right there.
Yeah, but I think
because if I had to, like, for me, like, it was no guarantee that she was going to reply back to me, and I'm still putting myself out there because I'm like
so you're hoping that
she responds. Like, if you putting a message out there, you're hoping the person responds.
Okay, but isn't that a contradiction? Because you said, but you really not vested, so you don't care. Because you just swipe. No,
I didn't say that. I didn't say
swipe one person. You swipe one person. You swipe one person. So you got 5 people you swipe. So you're gonna. It's like catcalling.
But
you're
it's not necessarily a match.
But we're only talking about one site. We're talking about internet dating in general. There's other sites where you don't do that. You just you see profiles. You read their profile, read the bio, and you just send a message. You don't know if this person's gonna like you or not. Tinder's a little bit different because you can actually, like, she apparently swiped on me first.
Okay.
Because when I went to swipe, we had matched.
Yeah,
I
thought you said you didn't know.
I didn't correct them, but
let's rewind the tapes.
Yeah, no, because I didn't say you couldn't. That's what Joe said. I just went along with it, but which I shouldn't have. But
yeah, you shouldn't have.
This is where
basically, where's your accountability?
It's the problem with the online dating. Where's the accountability?
So what happens is if she swipes on me first, if I swipe and it says we matched, that means the other person swiped first. Yeah. So we do know who swiped first.
Okay.
So when she swiped and matched with me, the likelihood of her responding back to me is high on a Tinder app.
Oh, definitely.
But like if you're on another site, there's other sites that are out there where you don't get the swipe. You don't know if this person likes you at all. There might be some, like, there's some times where there's some sites where you can see who viewed your profile. Definitely. That don't mean they actually like you. You know what I mean? Because they might have read what you put on there and they ain't really feeling you, or they saw you had kids or saw.
I'm saying, but even if you read those profiles or you swipe, because I just use the swiping because that's the app y'all met on. But if you use the profiles or different internet sites, you still can send a response to multiple people.
You can.
And that's what I'm saying.
Hold on,
what I'm saying.
But what's the difference between on a summer day, me walking down the street and every guy's trying to holler at me in the street and every other girl that walks behind me? What's the difference?
No, okay. This is what I'm saying. So now it's a gender thing, right? Now it would be. Now you're saying because the women ain't doing that.
They're not.
But on Tinder, obviously you swipe first. So women are doing it on Tinder. You're able to actually catcall men now.
Is it catcalling men?
Well,
no.
Just to connect it. I'm saying you're actually able to swipe.
But see, even there's another variable.
You can be bored and sit on your couch and just swipe. And what I'm trying to say is you can swipe, but in person, women don't do that. So you can now say, okay, men catcall because we typically on a regular basis have to be vulnerable. We have to be the ones that actually approach the women. It's in society, it's not a norm. But on the internet, now it becomes a norm for women to actually chase.
I think that
it becomes as much of a norm because you just said she swiped yours first.
Yeah, but I think in today's society, girls are definitely going up to guys in person as well. I don't think.
No, I didn't say they're not. We're talking about, because I think in every society they do.
Yeah.
Right? But meaning every time they did. But I'm saying, and maybe it is more now, but it's still more a bunch. When she's now using that example, it obviously shows that it's the norm for men to do it.
Not women. Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that's the difference. The difference is I'm catcalling, and I have to be the one that's vulnerable at all times. You're walking past, you can be feeling me, but you get to choose whether you feeling me or not. You get to reject me more times than none. I don't get to reject you more times than none.
But I think on the apps, when you have two people on the app, it's an equal investment. So in the sense that if you're on the app, you on the app to meet people, you're on the app to meet people. In order to meet people, you have to swipe right. In order for the app to work.
Why does Tinder?
In order for the app to work,
why does Tinder have a bad rep?
Right, you have to invest.
Because a lot of people hook up on it.
They have sex on it. So everybody's not going on there for the same reason. But what I'm saying is, it's just like in person. Nothing changes from person to person. It's just technology. So she can go on there because she looked at him and felt like she wanted to get physical. He could have went on there and thought he met his match. It's still the same situation. I'm catcalling you on the street. I might be just wanting to strip you down and do whatever. You might want something serious. It's the same process, but one thing is it adds another layer. It has another process because before we got the number, went to the phone, had a date. That was the process. Now it added another process. It added the swiping, then getting to the phone, then it added that extra process.
Yeah, but you don't have as much. You don't have as much skin in it though. Like all you're doing is sending a message. All she had to do was swipe. No, it's not like her walking up to me and saying, "Yo, what's good with you?"
That's what that's what I'm saying. So you just made my point because you said you wasn't saying that. It is convenient, meaning it's convenient. So it's giving her the courage to actually do it. It's giving her the courage. So now she's gonna put herself out there because she really has nothing to lose. So I'm saying
that's adding a convenience.
No, I'm saying that's convenient. Meaning that's what convenient is. She has nothing to lose. So my question was with convenience, then I say easier, is if she now in the street had to come up to you, does it give more value to the actual relationship now? Because now she had to put herself. It's not as easy because it shows vulnerability. So now it shows character. Because now she said, I'm going to leave my seat to actually go and walk up to him and risk in person being rejected. So it does add that. It gives, like what you said, it gives people more courage when they're behind the screen.
But I think from a male's perspective, I can see that. I think as a female, to be honest, like I don't have an issue.
But the females get more.
But
men are catcalling or swiping
that's my
regardless.
Point. Like, in my experience, I see a guy I like, I approach him. I'm okay with approaching men. Right. That's never been an issue. As a guy, when guys approach me, I'm not thinking, and maybe we should, maybe as females, we can give guys a little bit more credit to say, at least he's putting himself out there. Definitely. Because guys don't get that credit usually. Right. It's expected. I'm expected for, they are, but just say the guys that are not.
Okay.
We lock eyes. I'm expected for you to come and ask me for my number, even though I'm equally as attracted to you. Exactly. Not me per se, but most females. Definitely. So I think that we can give the men a little bit more, not a little bit more, I don't want to belittle it. We should give the men more credit in that area. But it is expected for the man to be the one to initiate any type of interaction with the female. That's kind of expected. So yes, I think from a man, as a man, if Kyrsten yes. or I liked one of you guys, I think if we actually walked up to you and said, "Hey, I find you attractive," I think you like, well, damn, like, okay. You even if you wasn't even fully attracted to me, I think that you'll see what it was about because usually women don't do that. But for us, it's like expected I
get what you're saying, that coming from a male perspective, I felt the same way when I got a message on a site. I did feel that way. I felt like even women that weren't attracted, that I wasn't attracted to at all. Like I'm like, okay.
If they reached out first, you felt like yes.
Yeah, I reached out and was like, oh, she reached out. That was cool. You know what I mean? Like I felt this the way you're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But did you feel the same? Did you feel the same? You telling me you felt the same way versus when a woman walks up to you in person? It was the same feeling. Because that's what comparing it to. She's commenting on versus getting it internet inbox. Or whatever you call it.
But what happened?
But nowadays, but the thing is though,
not nowadays. I'm saying on the question, which one feels more? Right. Just answer that question first before you go into your explanation. So which one feels more like it
genuine?
Feels more genuine. Which one gives you that feeling, that stronger feeling?
I don't think it's not much of a difference in either one. I'm trying to think of when a woman walked up to me and did that and how I felt about it, and honestly. The thing with me is because of what I said earlier about women, they will put themselves, I think, out more on a dating site because of the fact that it is a little easy to do so. Definitely. I think it's an anxiety thing as well for women too because they don't want to be rejected either. Let's be honest. That's at the end of the day, I still, because I know that women don't just send messages out like men do. Y'all's will be nonstop. Men's aren't like that. I don't care who they are. Men are not like that. And I get messages nonstop. So when a woman reaches out and is interested, you're looking at it like, okay, like this is one of the few women that are, you know what I mean, out of millions of women that are online that are reaching out.
Definitely.
Y'all getting hundreds a day. So
what you're saying is you still appreciate it.
So yeah, when I meet somebody in person, I can actually see that they're nervous, mm-hmm. or I can see if they're like starry-eyed or whatever, and they just they feeling the kid. I mean, it could be one or the other, you know what I mean? But I can actually view that, and it makes me feel a certain way, opposed to getting a message online, and I don't know There's nothing behind it. It's just a message. And I can see like, they're just like a nice person, like how they respond, hi, how are you? How's your day? Or damn, you look good. Like it could be, I can vibe, I can get how they are. I can get a vibe from what they said to me, but it's not the same as me seeing them in person.
So it is more of an impact in person.
It is more of an impact in person. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, it really all boils down to preference and, like, I do think technology has advanced us, and there's certain positives, obviously. And obviously the positive was something that, y'all actually are in a committed relationship now. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah.
You can go.
I want to hear your perspective.
Okay. So we dated for, like, we started talking in May, and we became like in a fully committed relationship at the end of June. So the reason why I guess from some people's perspectives it would have been like soon, but we like asked a lot of the basic questions, like a lot of the fundamental questions, like deep questions that are supposed to be taken care of in a relationship. We asked those early on. So that's what helped us to get to knowing that we wanted to be in a committed relationship. Like we weren't just talking about, oh, like I know your favorite color is green, like what's your favorite flower, things like that. Like we weren't building in all that fluff. Like obviously that'll come along the way, but we pretty much just got down to business and asking that, and that's how we established that we were on the same page and we knew what we wanted. So but yeah, I mean, honestly, from day one, like I said, it was natural. We FaceTimed early on, and I felt like it built the anticipation, like when we did meet each other, like obviously it was better in person. Mm-hmm. But I did like the anticipation, like finally of like getting to meet him. So
yeah, I mean, this like we had the hard discussion. So the ones that people try to avoid in the beginning because they say, oh, it's too early to be having this kind of conversations, or like it just depends.
Example of it. Yeah, give us an example of that.
Hard question.
Like just trying to talk about like even like non-negotiables, like talking about what she actually wanted. Did she want to have kids? Did she want, what was she looking for in a man, which is a basic one. Mm-hmm. Like family questions, who her past relationships. I mean, all types of stuff. I mean,
or even asking like, what do you believe is like a committed relationship? Like, do you believe in monogamy? Like, all stuff.
That was definitely. We talked about that. They talking about what the certain words meant. We wanted to make sure that we were defining words the same way. Mm-hmm. Making sure that commitment meant the same thing, monogamy meant the same thing, loyalty meant the same thing, trust meant the same thing. So, and if something was off, or we weren't on the same, wavelength, we discussed it. Like, tell me what you believe, and then we were able to get on the same page, find a common ground, and we were able to move forward, and then continue to ask each other questions, and that helped us make a sound decision to actually commit. Mm-hmm. We felt comfortable in doing that. Like we felt like it was we were what each other was looking for.
So, do you think that you guys asking the hard questions, defining words, terms, and all that stuff, do you think that made that was what set your relationship apart from all the other people that you met?
Absolutely.
Online, or is it just in general? Like you guys met online,
yes,
right? But I'm just saying, like overall, like
was that like y'all starting off that way? Was it like a step up from any of
other relationships?
Well, for me, yes.
Yes, for like me personally, I've prematurely committed in the past, and I didn't follow that same structure to a T like I should have, and I was able to do that with her because I didn't want to make any more the same mistakes I had made in the past.
Definitely.
So, I was able to get further with her in a shorter amount of time.
Okay.
Because we did the work early.
Definitely.
Would you say the same thing?
I would agree. I mean, I think that we equally asked important questions. He asked me questions that I've never had people ask me, and I was comfortable like answering them. But I think it was like very important because in my past relationships, obviously I didn't have those questions asked and there was misunderstandings. Whereas if we would have like communicated in the beginning and established what the definitions of certain things were, we would have maybe been further along, maybe not, but we would have known like this wasn't going to work out because we don't have the same definition of certain things.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. What was y'all first, like, what's the first thing that y'all can remember that y'all didn't agree on when it came to, you know, your core values or your principles or, you know, the things that, the hard questions and answering the hard questions?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me would probably be kids.
Okay.
We didn't agree on that, but
that's not what she said in the beginning. But.
Well, let's
yeah.
Go ahead, explain, elaborate.
Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
And then you elaborate.
So, well, okay, it was on the first time that we started talking, and
you looked a little nervous after he hit you with that. No, just to say, but go ahead.
I asked him how many kids he has, and he answered. And then I asked how old they were. Took him a little bit to ask if I had any kids, but then he did ask.
What's a little while, like 20 minutes or?
He didn't ask right away. And I don't know. You said you were watching a movie.
Oh, you mean like
that's that convenience we're talking about?
Yeah. You mean I didn't
multitasking during an intimate moment? But
I didn't keep the conversation going and then ask you later. Are you saying I just took a long time to answer the actual question? Like.
Yeah, like you didn't.
So
it wasn't right away. Like I asked you if you had any kids.
The question, yeah.
I asked you if you had any kids, and then you said yeah. I said okay, and then I asked, well, how old are they? Like you didn't ask right away. Like you didn't say, oh, well, do you? Yes, I do have kids. Do you have any? But regardless, we established that, and then he asked, do you want any more? And I said yes, and you said, is that a non-negotiable? So that there.
Wait, no, I got to correct you.
Go ahead.
Because we just talked about this last night.
We did.
We established that I asked you if you had kids first. And then you said you did. And I said, do you want any more? And you told me what? That's what happened. You didn't ask me first. I asked you first.
I wish I could pull
out the transcript.
I wish.
We just talked about it last night.
No, I asked you first.
Okay.
And then you answered yes. And then I said, well, how many do you have? And then you asked me if I have kids. And then you said, do you want any more? And I said yes.
I could be wrong.
No, are you wrong?
Yeah, like what do you mean you could be wrong?
I felt like I remembered it differently, but I'm probably wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
So say you're wrong. Say I'm wrong.
No, we literally said the same thing yesterday.
We just talked about
it. Yes.
Do you believe? Do you believe what she's saying is accurate?
I could have swore I corrected you and you agreed last night when we talked about it, or must be something different.
No, because I originally said that I said no, I didn't want any more kids, and you were like, no, you definitely said yes, and I asked if that's a non-negotiable.
All right.
Well, let's.
Yeah, I asked you if it was not.
It seems like it was tough, but go ahead.
So that was the first thing. Like it wasn't a hard.
But what was the conflict though?
He doesn't want any more. So he has 3 kids, and I only have 1. He's older, and I'm younger.
Like how much older?
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah, so
how does that work? How do you feel that works?
I mean, it's definitely different. I never dated somebody with that age gap.
Okay.
But with me committing, I knew that there was like us being at different stages in our lives. I knew there was going to be a role that I had to play, and I knew that I was taking on that responsibility going in. So I was able to still commit to that, knowing that I was going to play a certain role in her life, and also vice versa. Like there's things that with her, she shows me certain things. I mean, it's just something that we do, and it's a give and take. So we're able to come together. They're not individuals. We're able to come together and we don't make it happen. There's certain things that I've experienced that she hasn't.
Definitely.
And I'm able to show her, hey, this is how you may want to handle that, or whatever have you. And then vice versa. There's certain things that she's been through that I haven't been through, and we're able to do the same thing. But I think we comfortably have our role in our relationship, and we understand that one of us has to take the lead. Depending on the circumstance, we decide who takes the lead, but we're stronger in that area. So that's one of the things we also believe. So things come super easy when it comes to that.
So 11 years is a decent, a big age gap.
That is a big age gap.
Were you ever intimidated or felt like, I wouldn't say insecure, well, I guess with intimidation comes with insecurities, but did you ever felt insecure because you are 11 years younger than he is and may not, and he has dated women his own age and, and you're not, and there's just such a big age gap. Did you ever feel some type of way about that?
I never felt any type of way about it because I don't want to say, obviously, like I'm not as old as him, so I don't have all of the knowledge that he has. So there's definitely things that he's taught me that I haven't experienced yet. But I do remember like telling my friends and my family how old he was, and I was thinking that they would be like, "Oh my God, like he's so much older." And my mom and my friends were like, "Oh, okay." Like, so I don't want to necessarily, I guess I was looking for confirmation, but I felt as though it was natural. Like I didn't, like I know he dated people a little bit older than him, a little bit younger than him, not so much as me, but definitely. I never, like I felt like I knew what I was bringing to the table, and I knew that there were certain things that he hadn't experienced that I could help him with, and he could help me with certain things. So I never felt like he had like one up on me or anything like that. Like I felt like where he was lacking, I would be able to like help him, and vice versa.
Definitely. That's good.
Admittedly though, we did talk about like the age. When I saw her age, I hesitantly swiped right because there are different stages, and I've dated women that were in their 20s, and it just felt like, and that's one thing that I guess it was something like a stigma I had experienced. I created that stigma, like that opinion myself, based on the women that I was dating online. Like the ones that were a little younger seemed to be less mature. Mm-hmm. You know, they were in a different stage. They still wanted to party. They still wanted to do things that I wasn't into. So when I saw that she was, you know, her age, I'm like, but then she did the communication portion of her bio. I'm like, okay, maybe she may be a little different. What's going to hurt for me to swipe right? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I did, and we matched, and then the rest was history. So,
but you also asked me the first time we talked. I said I'm ready to settle down. Like I'm ready to find somebody that, like I want to spend the rest of my life with. And you were like, really? Like not too many people your age. That was the opposite of what I would have heard like from any other woman that I've dealt with that was that young.
Definitely.
So said something different.
So what you think, what y'all saying is basically it's not really about the age, it's about being in the same place at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And then y'all met each other at the same place at the same time. So y'all was ready to, you know, commit, which is, you know, I think that's an important lesson because, you know, once I hear the age, you know, that's the first thing you think of. Like, and it's less about the number and more about the lack of experience versus the experience, meaning you got to battle with, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And he has to battle with the fact that I did this and I did that. And sometimes he's trying to explain something you already did, but you want to experience. Sometimes you know, like you want to experience it and you don't want to experience, but he thinks you should experience it. You get what I'm saying? So like, there's just so many different variables, but that's with any relationship. So,
right. But I think, and I also think that comes with any age. I think that, you know, you find people that's in their 30s or 40s that don't like they want to experience. Yeah, they want to experience things on their own, and they can't have the conversation and reason things out based on logic, based on your experiences or what's going on around them, because they feel like they have to live it. So I think that to your point, that you guys didn't meet right time. You guys were at the same place at the same time because you were open to. You was open to take his lessons and vice versa. Right. Because not everyone's always open to that.
Because y'all was both ready for commitment. Mm-hmm. And when people are ready for commitment and like a serious commitment, they are ready to work as one unit. And it does take, you know, putting the differences to the side and actually finding commonality. So I think like in what you were saying about the stigma, I think it's not a stigma, it's an evaluation. So like if you ran into like if you ate 20, you don't like lasagna, you ate 20 pans of lasagna, didn't like it. The 21st pan you're not expecting to like it. Now if somebody sneaks it to you and then you actually like it, then you might eat that person's lasagna, but nobody else's lasagna. So what I'm saying is experience, everything is not quote unquote profiling. Everything is not, you know, putting something in a box. Sometimes it's based on your experiences, and it is based on your experiences, but the likelihood is a reality that a younger person has a different set of experiences and they're not ready to commit as much as a 30, 40-year-old. So I think you are evaluating, and it's called the process of elimination, right? So you are evaluating, and then in your age group, you might find more people willing to commit and willing to be in long-term relationships as opposed to somebody in their 20s. Right?
I mean, but in my experience too, I've dated older guys, like maybe 5 or 6 years older than me, but they also weren't ready to commit. So,
no, definitely. Yeah.
So it really just depends. Like I don't want to say age is just a number because that's so cliche, but really, like you just have to want it. Like you
have to want to mature into together.
You do have to want it. That's why I said it's not like you. Obviously, you would be an exception. That's why a person would say, "Yo, she's exceptional."
Mm-hmm.
She's different.
Yeah.
Because you're going off of, you dated guys 6 years, 5 years, but the likelihood, and that's what we're talking about, you can't put absolute on many things when it comes to human beings. You know what I'm saying? So you got to deal with the percentages. And when you get, like when you're gambling with your life or you're risking something, you're going to go on with the highest percentage.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So the highest percentage is like, I'm not dating a 26-year-old. That's the highest percentage.
Yeah.
But versus when he actually experienced it, he did swipe. So obviously there was something interesting about you. Your bio was on point, obviously, because he said the bio was on point. And then he said, okay, out of 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, how many people's on Tinder?
Wow,
I don't know how many people's on Tinder. He swiped and seen your bio and actually thought it was a dope bio. So I think that's what he got to see, because you probably put time and effort into it, and then he was able to evaluate it. And then when he talked to you, it matched the bio.
It was like 3 sentences though, but it was effective. So, but like I think too, the situation prior to her also helped me put things in perspective too, because basically to the point we just made, because I dated somebody who was a little older than me, but wasn't where she was at.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it was like, well, that also played a part in my swipe right. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't think this way, because based on what she's saying,
took a chance.
So I took the chance. I'm like, okay, I experienced both. I thought that maybe if I dated older, that maybe not older than me, but around my age,
you get somebody
I would
who's
have a better
equally
opportunity,
yoked,
right? And it was a woman I dated who was young, and she wasn't where she's at, and then somebody was interested in me that was a little bit older than her, wasn't where she was at, was still acting like she was young. You know what I'm saying? So it was that right there, those experiences right there allowed me to be more open to dating somebody that was a little younger, that might have her head on straight.
Definitely.
So,
but don't you think those experiences, like you said, that you prematurely committed?
Definitely.
So therefore, you came in armed, like you said, you came in armed with different tools. So maybe if you came in armed with those same tools, with those same women, maybe they would have been people, because maybe it's a compatible thing and not a commitment thing. So like, because you would have weeded them out.
Yeah.
Because obviously
I
they
wouldn't
wouldn't have
even went through it.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been
That's
compatible.
definitely.
But this time you came with a more, and I would say a more structured or more mature approach, right? And then she was able to reciprocate with the approach also, because when you now asking the tough questions, or she's asking the tough questions, not many people ask the tough, let's be for real, not many people ask the tough questions.
No,
so it's not even an age thing. It's just really literally finding each other at the same time. It is, though, a variable. And that's what I was just saying. It is a variable. Or somebody being short, somebody being tall, somebody being skinny, somebody being thicker. Those things are variables. But the spirit is something else. So that's why when I was really challenging the internet thing, I wanted to see the spirit. I wanted somebody to explain the spirit portion of it. Because, obviously just now, without even having to give me the explanation, allowed me to see the spirit portion of it. Because he was able to read a bio, and then it now opened it up. But I'm thinking percentages. And the percentages, a lot of people on Tinder have sex. A lot of people, like a lot of people on the internet are doing quick things.
Right.
And that's where I connected to convenience.
Well,
because it dealt with instant gratification.
Yeah, the instant
it dealt
gratification.
With easy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anything that starts off, and what I mean by easy, because there are people like what y'all just did. You asked the hard questions, which not easy to answer, but you answered them easy because y'all was in the same place at the same time.
Right.
But we call it hard because most people don't want to answer it. So it's like the internet. Most people don't want to walk up to people in person, but they'll deal with
even
people
the same way, like even people that comment on our post. You see them in the street, they would say 2 words to you, but they
comment.
They'll comment and they'll say things that they wouldn't feel comfortable saying in person.
Yeah.
So I get with that. I think.
Well, more in your inbox, more when they inboxing you, or they asking you for help inbox, but they don't really want to comment on your page.
But either way, like there's their internet thugs, they're the bull. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways to get in contact with you, but it's a lot of those people they hide behind a keyboard and tell you how they really feel, but they wouldn't tell you that in person. Definitely. So yes, the internet does bring something different out of people, and I think that. Yes, to your point of making things convenient and like to being on your couch and actually texting somebody as opposed to actually getting dressed and going out. But it's 2019 too. So, the way that we do things, the way that we socialize, the way that we communicate is totally different than we did 10 years ago.
Definitely.
So we're progressing with the times. It's just that, we can't lose sight of us really connecting with people. And I think that it starts with having the hard conversations. move that conversation from text to phone or however, and then get that date on the calendar as soon as possible, so you guys could have that spiritual connection and see if that's if the relationship can go anywhere. You can either get a friend out of the deal or maybe a significant other. But I think in the day and age that we live in, electronics is not, I wouldn't say everything, but that's how we communicate. I call out sick, I'm texting my boss.
Right.
Like,
it's not. I mean, it's crazy because I've even been in situations in the past where I met somebody in person, like saw them, and I knew that she was interested from a mutual friend. She didn't say a word to me. We left where we were,
and then she texted you?
got my number, and when we texted for 2 weeks before we actually talked on the phone, and I'm like, I'm like, whatever. I'm bored.
But is that a red flag?
Yeah, that is a red flag.
It was, and I was like, yeah, it was, and I was like, like. We texted, and she's like, well, it's just more comfortable to text as opposed to being on the phone because then it's all.
It was more convenient.
It was more
exactly.
convenient,
So I'm like, so I've been like, so
See?
even
This is where it gets great.
And to your point, like when you meeting in person, it's this weird. Like if she would have talked to me in person and we had a conversation, whatever, and then we moved to text messaging and we just kind of out of convenience of talking, then that's something different. But we didn't say a word to each other.
Why didn't she feel that she could come up to you when she saw you?
She didn't. She didn't come up to me when she saw me.
No, why didn't she feel that?
Oh, why didn't she? I don't know. She just didn't.
Well, I have a story. Like I remember since we trading war stories, but real quick, there's a guy that worked maintenance in the buildings that I actually work in, and I would see him every morning, and he would I could see him down the block, and he'll run to where I'm at, walk with me, talk to me. Every time I would see him, he would stop whatever he was doing to make sure that he was walking alongside me to walk me to the building. And one day I was walking with coffee in my hand, and my hands were full, so he took my bag. I had my phone in my hand and like a tray of coffee. So he took my phone and he called me from his phone. He used my phone to call him so he can get my number. Right. So I thought, this guy, he talks to me every day. He's super nice. Like he's holding my bags. He's doing whatever. And then he gets my number kind of in a shady way, but he still gets my number.
Right.
But then he doesn't use it on the weekend. So that was like during the week.
It's a red flag.
And then Saturday and Sunday, I didn't hear from him. Now you can't be that that interested. Right. And then you get my number and you don't use it over the weekend, right? Isn't that prime time? So Here comes Monday morning again, and he's like, hey, good morning. I'm like, so I didn't answer him. Then I saw him again. And I'm like, for somebody who seems so interested, you got my number, but yet you only want to use it during the week. Who do you live with?
Right.
And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, who do you live with? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Right. And then he was like, well, I'm on the couch. I'm like, yeah, lose my number. But you know what I mean? But again, this is me meeting a person. He wasn't a bad looking guy, but I thought he was a little, I didn't think he was as genuine. I thought like he was running up to me. He's running up to the next chick. He's doing whatever. And then it comes to find out he had a situation.
Well, maybe it was just more convenient for him though, because he was supposed to be working.
Had I met him online,
and so
I'm sure that would have went.
Should we be using the word convenient?
Yeah, maybe not. I should change my vocabulary.
Like what word would be in place of convenience when it comes to like people who are looking for committed relationships but are very busy? Because I do think that service is great for a person that is running around with children all the time, working. Really don't have the time to really run into people on a personal level. Huh?
It's efficient. Like you could, because you can talk to people, but you don't.
You can't call it efficient.
Still deal with your kids.
I don't know if you can call it efficient because it's a numbers. I was going to say it's an abundance. Accessible? It's accessible and it's a numbers game at the end of the day. But you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed, obviously. So it can't be can't be called efficient.
It's more accessible.
Yeah, more accessible.
Yeah. It's more accessible, so it starts a dialogue that can be started with a person that when you don't have the time to really start the dialogue or go out on dates and do all that.
Is it more accessible or does it make us more accessible?
It makes us more accessible.
But it is more accessible too.
But it is, yeah,
because it's right there on your phone.
So
it's more accessible. Yeah. So what I'm saying is like. In that scenario, he just gave a prime example of how in person it does show character, right? Because that wasn't the woman for you, but you might have walked up and talked to him,
right?
In the same rep. So you met him on the phone, and it just happened to be. So I think I would never say, you won't meet somebody great online, but when it deals with percentages, would you like tell your kids like, yeah, meet somebody we met online? You would probably meet somebody online. You would tell them to explore every avenue because you probably tell them the same thing as the bar story.
Right.
Right? Like your mother told you leave them at the bar.
Right.
But you can meet somebody great at the bar. Just like you can meet somebody great on the internet. And I think that you kind of have the same chances, to be honest.
It's a numbers game at the end of the day.
Right?
Well, yeah, because you don't really know, like, the person.
But at a baby shower of somebody you know, I think the likelihood goes up. I think a friend of somebody you know, I think the likelihood increases because it's people you know.
Right.
It's people that you know, and it's somebody that knows them.
Right.
So therefore, when they matching those people up, you're more likely. We're not saying that's gonna happen. You're more likely to be.
I'm just gonna speak on my experience. Like I know you mentioned it earlier, being hooked up. And I don't know what your experience is, but mine, when I was hooked up, it was the worst situations. Like they were not. I won't say the worst. They were not people that I was compatible with at all. And you actually go into it because you're trusting the person that's hooking you up.
Right.
Like
you kind of like fast track the situation because there's a comfort level there.
Right. And you're like, well, they're like, oh yeah, she's such and such, she's a good girl, she works that. And then it's like you go into the situation, and I will take some accountability as well because I didn't go into it with the same I didn't go into it asking the same questions, the questions I should have asked. I went into it, again, with a specific comfort level, thinking that this person is what the other person said it is. So it's almost like they did some of the work for me before I even got there. So I'm like, kind of like going with the flow, more or less, what they call going with the flow.
Yeah, but how well did they know that person? That
part two is why did you narrow it down to hooking up? I'm just saying, it
just happens.
I'm saying, why did you narrow it down to hooking up? Because my thing was not you being at a bar as a bunch of strangers. You being at a baby shower, I'm just saying you're in the vicinity with people that other people know.
Right.
You obviously went to my baby shower. Mm-hmm. Most people I probably invited to my baby shower, the likelihood of them being compatible with you is probably likely. Because we all know each other some way, somehow. That's what I'm saying. It lessens the amount of things that y'all have that are different, and there's more things that would be compatible with that person on percentages. Doesn't mean that you're definitely going to last. It just means that you got a better shot. And that's all I was saying. In a bar with a bunch of strangers, you might actually find that one at the bar. But the likelihood, you wouldn't recommend, yo, go find your wife at a bar. Nah. Enough said. But you would recommend at maybe a wedding of some two people that you really compatible with. You might recommend that in a space that you can meet the person. I think at work where you could actually know the person long term. You would say any place that you frequent a lot or that has people around you that you know, you would give them that on percentages. So percentages, it would be fact on percentages. Just because y'all two met on the internet, the percentage of that's why it's something that people write on TV.
Yeah.
Because it's one of them things that doesn't happen frequently, where people are really compatible on the internet.
And especially on, I would say, a lot of people that have met on the internet, it's usually on the sites that you have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I would say that.
Not too many people actually meet on these free sites, especially Tinder. But
no, they meet, but they're not really.
They don't stay together.
Yeah.
And like, back to being in this right space at the right time, like I had made my Tinder that night, and literally, like, I want to say half an hour after I made it, like I swiped right on him, and shortly after he swiped right on me. So again, like that was just
little love story. We got even crazier story than that.
Yeah,
What's
we
going
did.
on?
So, me working in my job, I've been in my job almost 5 years, and I was on a company trip, and I was training a rep that was just started with the company. And we got to know each other a little bit or whatever, whatnot. I found out she was from, the Reading area. And she told me, I was single at the time, and she told me, oh, she was an older lady, like a little older or whatever, whatnot. She told me, she was like, I got, a family member that I want you to meet, this is in the fifth. And I'm like, all right. Like, and I think she might even show me a picture. I don't really remember, but I think she told me that she was a little younger. So I was at that time, I'm like, this is a few years ago at that time.
There
I'm
you
like,
go getting hooked up again, but go ahead. It didn't stop you, brother. Go ahead.
At the time, I'm single, so I'm like, I'm listening, and I'm like, all right, well.
You gave us 3 wars.
So, what was that? So she showed me some pictures or whatever, whatnot, and I think I kind of tuned it out because she had told me she was like early 20s, and I'm like, all right, like I'm cool, like I'm not really worried, So I didn't think nothing of it. It never came up again during the time that we were there. And fast forward to now, when soon after we committed, me and Kyrsten, she posted online that we were in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That same lady goes into the comment section of that post and says, "Oh my God, Kyrsten, you're with Chris? I tried to hook him up with you 2 years ago."
Yeah.
Wow.
So
She's
it's
like, "He's a
something
great
big
guy."
at work.
So
it's something
it was
big
crazy.
at
The
work.
internet brought them together.
No,
Yeah,
there's
it's
something
crazy.
bigger. There's something big at work.
Because
it was destined.
And the crazy part about it, like at that time when we talked about it, and we talked about the time frame, we had to think about our history. And we're like, she was actually committed to somebody else at the time.
Okay.
And at that time, I was in a different headspace. I was not dating girls that young.
Okay.
So it wasn't even like 2 years prior, it wouldn't even have happened.
Right.
So even if she would have introduced me to her or not, it would have never happened. So we actually met not only like at an opportune time when she logged on and got her first made her profile a half hour later, but also in a space where we both were like single.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So it was the time frame too. It just all came together, but it was just crazy because what was the odds of her being the person that somebody suggested?
It wasn't likely.
And then we ended up meeting, and on top of that, we in two different areas.
Yeah, 25 minutes away. It wasn't likely. But that's dope. That's dope. That just shows us, especially us accountable lovers. You know what I mean? Us love snobs. It shows us, man, that there's things out there every time we, get a little, I wouldn't say pessimistic, but down on it. Sometimes people don't want to actually fall in love and really put in the work. You hear a story like this and it shows, how it's the next level to it. And there's something bigger at work. And that's all we're saying all the time, like cherish what you have, because, that spiritual, however you're spiritual, whether it's God, whether it's energy, whatever you feel, gets you together, you still got to put in the work.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? And you got to cherish it.
And maximize your tools. So you guys met on an online dating site, but you maximized the tool. You guys still took out the time and had the hard questions and still made sure that you got to know each other before you took it to the next level. So I think that however you're meeting someone, whether it's online, in person, on the train, or through a best friend or at a baby shower, you still need to have the same conversations. You still need to ask the hard questions. You still need to make sure you guys are on the same page. And you both have to make sure that you guys want to mature into togetherness together.
Definitely. So, my name's Aziz.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyrsten.
And this is Accountable Love.
Peace.